Mary Sue. A Mary Sue is a character who is so perfect that he or she warps the world around them to display their perfection. It seems as though nothing in this universe except for Mary Sue is even real, and instead is a plot device to make Mary Sue seem flawless and loved. And wow, you might think characters like Sylvanas or Green Jesus are the ultimate Mary Sues in Warcraft lore, but you have no idea the absurd amount of power that the character Medan had that made him the most hated character in the lore. First, some backstory. Medan's parents are Medivh and Garona. Medivh was one of the guardians of Thrall. Guardians are like these ultra-powerful mages who have a council of other mages channeling their powers into them so they can be the sole defenders of Azeroth from the Burning Legion. Garona is a half-orc, half-Draenei raised by Gul'dan and was brainwashed by Gul'dan into being a killing machine. Stuff happens and she ends up in Karazhan, which is Medivh's home, and they bang and she gives birth to Medan. So yeah, there's a lot of lore there, so maybe we can talk about that later. The point is, Medan is half human, quarter orc, and quarter Draenei, which makes him pretty unique. But Garona didn't trust herself in taking care of Medan because of her unstable psyche, and she just yeeted him out of Karazhan. Merrill Fellstorm was once a member of the Council of Thrall, and he helped raise Medan in Duskwood. As a young adult, Medan already harnessed the power of shamanistic and arcane magic and had combat skills with weapons. Also, Medan was a part of some ancient prophecy that said, and I quote, "When the child of the three realms comes as light, the ancient power will be released. The earth will tremble, the seas will rise up in answer, and all will be madness. A new day will dawn, bringing with it chaos and peace." Which is just a bunch of dumb jargon that an undead cultist who had a vision of this prophecy reported to Cho'gall, who was the former right-hand man of Gul'dan, but now the right-hand man of Cthulhu. Cthulhu is an old god that was defeated at this point in time, but not killed. His plan was to use Medan's power to resurrect the old god once more and usher in the end of the world. And while it doesn't give you direct power, I think being a part of an ancient prophecy deserves to boost up your power level a bit. So members of the Twilight Hammer travel to Duskwood to capture Medan. But Garona suddenly shows up to save the day. And then she gets brainwashed and then taken to Encourage. In the ancient city, Cho'gall tells her she needs to go crash the meeting the Horde and the Alliance are having in Theramore, and that she needs to kill Varian. Because, look, I don't really know. And there's a spy that is the ally of Medan's adopted father who found out this information because the plot needs to keep moving forward. And Medan goes to Theramore to rescue his mommy that he just found out exists in the first place. While flying to Theramore, a random Leviathan pops out of the ocean, and Medan cuts off one of its tentacles with a small rusty hatchet, and uses his shamanistic power to cast down lightning on the beast. And then he falls asleep in a bush while waiting for his mom to do something. In the morning, Garona and evil company swoop down on the Horde and the Alliance while riding wyverns. The Alliance think it's an ambush by the Horde think the Alliance hired these people to kill them, and everyone just starts fighting each other for the hell of it, and the fight ends with Medan being captured by Twilight cultists, and Garona being captured by the Alliance.
No, don't do it!
Valeria convinces Varian that Garona can be an ally if they purify her mind control spell thingy, and she's taken to Egwene, who is Medan's grandmother, to purify her of this mind control spell. And then she falls into a coma. Then Valeria and Meryl Windstorm go to AQ to save Medan, where his power is being used to summon Cthulhu. Then they fight Cho'gall in a fight scene that lasts 2.5 issues of the comic, and in the fight, Medan is broken from his trance of being literally pinned against the body of an all-powerful god, then cleanses himself in a matter of seconds and heals Meryl.
What the fuck?
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Valeria also has a demon trapped inside of her, and she gives into the demon's power and shoots a giant laser beam at Cho'gall. And then Cho turns into a demonic Pai Mei, and Gall turns into a chicken, and then our 3 heroes teleport out to the entrance of AQ. At this point, Valeria is fully possessed by the demon and attempts to suck the life force out of Medan, while the whispers of Cthulhu are invading his mind. But that doesn't matter, he just blows up in a ball of fire, and Meryl convinces the demon within Valeria to inhabit his body instead, because he can suppress the demon's power inside of himself. Then they teleport to Theramore to go see Garona, but she has disappeared and somebody kidnapped her. So let's play a game. Who kidnapped Garona? Is it A member of the Twilight Hammer, B, the spirit of Medivh, C, Sir Finley Murgleton, or D, Murad? Well, guess what? It was Murad. You know, Murad, that one Draenei in the BC cinematic, or that one guy in the Lords of War trailer back in WoD?
Put your seal on that order.
Yeah, Murad. He kidnapped her and took her to Onyxia's lair, of all places, and tells her, "Oh, hello, I am your uncle." Because apparently he is in fact her uncle. Then Medan shows up and is suffering from old god whispers invading his mind, and to help suppress the whispers, Murad teaches him how to use the light, which Medan learns how to wield instantly. So now Egwene, Medan, Murad, Jaina, Valeria, and Meryl all talk about how they can defeat the threat of Cho'gall, and the idea of having another guardian is brought up, but this time, instead of a bunch of mages empowering them, they can get a bunch of different types of magic to empower one person. So druids, priests, shamans, basically every class in the game. And you probably know where this is going, but oh my god, remember that prophecy I talked about at the start of the video? Well, now it's fulfilled, and there's an old god minion that just came out of the water, and Medan kills it by casting a giant lightning beam from the sky. And then it dies. Later that day, the spirit of Medivh shows up while Medan is trying to sleep, and is all like, "Come to Karazhan to talk to me, I miss you, son." And Medan's all like, "Fuck off, no," and then he falls asleep. The next day, Murad and Medan go to Outlands to Shatrath City to talk to Khadgar, who's Medivh's apprentice, and is all like, "You know, Medivh, he may have been the guy to open up the Dark Portal and doom Azeroth to a fate of never-ending warfare, but he wasn't really a bad guy. He was just corrupted. Oh yeah, you're also the Light's chosen one to stop all evil on Azeroth, so, good luck with that."
Okay.
While flying back to the portal, Medan is summoned to Karazhan by his father to a giant chess table. During this scene, Medivh talks about how he banged Garona and that Medan should choose a unique path and that his destiny is his own. Then Medivh and his spirit friends funnel the rest of their power into Medan. Medan is then teleported back to Theramore, where there are evil elementals and they are destroying the stronghold. However, will they be able to overcome this threat? Well, by Jaina, Murad, and Rhaegar casting the ritual of sharing on Medan so he can shoot a giant laser beam at the elementals. When he awoke, the new council of classes was assembled, ready to defeat Cho'gall, leader of the Twilight Hammer, once and for all. The members of the council are Hamel Runetotem, Brule Bearmantle, Rowan, Dylan Wrathscar, Rhaegar Earthfury, Jaina, and Murad. The council was teleported to the Twisting Nether because it looks cool, and this is where they'd funnel their power into Medan. You know what time it is? It's morphin' time! Druid! Paladin! Shaman! Priest!
Mage!
Other mage. With their powers channeled into Medan, he teleported down to AQ to fight alongside Meryl, Valyria, and Egwin one last time to defeat Cho'gall. The fight starts with Medan summoning a giant spirit bomb. Then Cho'gall summons all of his energy to shoot laser beams at Thunderbluff, Stormwind, Orgrimmar, and I think that's the Maelstrom, all at the same time. Cho'gall and Medan then do some Harry Potter laser beam shit, and in an attempt to give Medan more power, Garona attempts to retrieve a Tesh, Great Staff of the Guardian, which was Medan's father's staff. But the demon within Meryl attempts to claim the staff for his own, and in the scuffle, he strikes down Medan's grandmother. The demon then flies into the Twisting Nether to attack the council at the source, but thankfully, they strike him down. Medan wields the Tesh, and he shoots a giant fucking laser beam at Cho'gall. And then they live happily ever after. And that's the story of Medan. Now, let's ponder for a moment. Why is this the worst story in Warcraft? Well, first off, Medan is just too powerful for his own good. He's just such a generic stereotype of a chosen one character that is suddenly introduced and stronger than any character in Warcraft. He runs into literally dozens of established characters in the lore who are just randomly added to the story and don't really need to be there. He's an extreme power fantasy that sort of just craps on the rest of the lore and his father's legacy. A lot of Medivh's story was about how he wanted to make sure that Azeroth didn't need another Guardian. So now that Medan's the Guardian, it kind of makes that whole section of the lore obsolete. Medan has never been seen in-game despite his major lore significance. And in Volume 3 of the Warcraft Chronicle book, a series of books explaining the definitive canon, Medan is in the index, but is on the page 404.